Well, good evening, everyone. If you will join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll begin the meeting. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome. It's great to see so many faces out there this evening. Tonight, the Board of Education is recognizing an outstanding group of Parkway students and schools. We're honoring National Merit semifinalist students, perfect ACT students, a student book donation, and staff with a Superintendent Character Award. First, I would like to invite Dr. Kevin Beckner, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, to begin the recognition of our National Merit students.
Well, good evening, President Todd, Vice President Hopper, Dr. Schneider, Mrs. Stover, members of the board. 43 Parkway students have been recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation, an independent, not-for-profit organization that conducts competitions for recognition and college undergraduate scholarships through two different programs, the National Merit Scholarship Program and the National Achievement Scholarship Program. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an annual academic competition which identifies seniors who represent the top of their graduating class. Commended students placed among the top 50,000 students who entered the competition by taking the preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. More than 1.3 million juniors took this test, and they represented over 21,000 high schools. Less than 1% of U.S. high school seniors qualified as National Merit semifinalists. Among that 1%, are 19 Parkway students who earned the National Merit semifinalist status and an additional 24 students who have been recognized as commended. National Merit semifinalists have the opportunity to qualify for nearly 7,000 merit scholarships totaling almost $26 million that will be offered next spring. Some students were unable to join us this evening for this recognition, but we will still announce their names. First, please welcome Dr. Tim McCarthy, principal at Central High, who will recognize his students. And students, please come forward as your name is called.
Thank you, Dr. Beckner. And on behalf of all of the principals, just want to extend a thank you to the board. We just really appreciate you taking the time to recognize our students. First up, Central High, our National Merit semifinalist, Benjamin Green. Serena Huang, Aiden Moon, Lawson Robinson, and Esther Wang. For our commended students, Shaswath Arunshankar, Dion Bandari, Finn Borchat, Samuel Cooper, Aaliyah Jomi, Sabine Munir, Shariah Saduleh. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Dave Jones from North High.
Thank you, Dr. McCarthy, President Todd, Nikki Stover, Dr. Snyder, and the Board of Education. I just want to first send a warm thank you to the parents, to the teachers out there who have guided these young people to where they are tonight. And whether it was a first grade reading class or AP physics class, all of those teachers have made a difference in your life to get you to this point tonight. So thank you to our wonderful staff in Parkway for helping and guiding you guys along the way. So I want to now announce and recognize our North High commended students. We have two, Thomas Bloomfield and Charles Catalano. For North High semifinalist, Noah Hunter-Brinker and Uyoyo Umunu. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to welcome Dr. Angie Papworth-Morco to the podium to recognize the South High students.
Good evening. My colleagues and I are delighted to recognize the students tonight who have been named commended and national merit finalists. This prestigious distinction reflects exceptional academic achievement and rigorous commitment to scholarship. Each of you embodies what we want our Parkway learners to be: critical thinkers, empowered learners, connected citizens, and resilient individuals. Congratulations on reaching this significant accomplishment and honor. And it's my pleasure as the principal of South High to recognize the South High commended students tonight. Samuel Aman, Nicholas Fermonic, Allison Horseman, Dennis Jakovlevich, Akshita Santosh Kumar, and Donald Schischler. Our South High semifinalists are Julia MD, Jacob Hurst, Dean Cases, and Catherine Nozaki. Thank you all. And it's my pleasure to welcome my friend and colleague, John McKay, principal of West High, up here.
So students, I think you can agree with me that we do not arrive at a place like this being recognized by our distinguished board in front of all of our parents and loved ones without some help. And I have the distinct privilege of thanking, and I hope you can join me in turning and finding your special people in the crowd and acknowledging them and thanking those parents and guardians that helped us get here to reach such an amazing accomplishment. And now I have the honor to recognize the commended West High students: Rajamora Bacina, Leora Hoy, Augustia Kukadala, Lily Overman, Siddharth Sisla, Ruth V. Tatakamala, Ani Venkata, Camden Wilford, and Yun Zhao. And our West High semifinalists: Ryan Hamdi, Anish Jindal, Nicole Paquette, Joseph Polker, Umar Rafiq, Soham Ray, Tyler M. Smith, and Dylan Ziegler. Again, congratulations to all our wonderful students and their parents and guardians for this tremendous accomplishment. And I'm going to welcome Dr. Kevin Beckner back to the stage.
Well, we are now going to recognize some perfect ACT scores, and you will hear some similar names, but you also hear some similar numbers, namely 1%. We heard with the previous award that's earned by fewer than 1% of high school students, and we'll hear in this that fewer than 1% of students who take the ACT earn that perfect score. The ACT is a curriculum-based exam that consists of tests in English, math, reading, science, each scored on a scale of 1 to 36. A student's composite score is the average of those four together. Students who earn a 36 have likely mastered everything they need to know to be successful in the first year college courses that they may take next year. ACT scores are accepted by all major four-year colleges and universities, and while the number of students scoring a perfect score varies from year to year, it is that fewer than 1% number of students who actually achieve a 36. In last year's graduating class, only 3,000 students out of about 1.37 million who took the ACT earned that perfect score, and we are fortunate to have 4 of them recognized here in Parkway tonight. At this time, we'd like to recognize these 4 students for their perfect ACT scores. We have 2 from South High, and those are Samuel Ahmad and Catherine Nozaki. And from West High, we have Sartaj Dillon and Leroy Ahoy. Congratulations to all of these impressive scholars.
Next, please welcome Dr. Kevin Martin, principal at Northeast Middle, and Mrs. Katie Hicks, Northeast Middle teacher, to introduce our next recognition.
Good evening, President Todd, Vice President Hopper, Ms. Stover, Dr. Snyder, and Board of Education. We appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and at this time we invite Drew, Snoopy, Mom to come on down to join us.
Tonight, we recognize Drew, a 7th grader at Parkway Northeast Middle School, for his extraordinary achievement and incredible spirit. Drew wrote a powerful children's book titled Marshmallow Can Do Hard Things. This is a profound message born from a deeply personal experience, Drew's own journey fighting brain cancer.
This book's vital lesson is one of resilience. Anyone can do hard things if they make a plan and practice. It's an inspiring message that comes from this young man who's demonstrated this principle firsthand. Drew is also demonstrating great generosity tonight by donating hard copies of his book to all Parkway Elementary libraries. His message of courage will now be available to every elementary student in our district. Drew now would like to say a few words.
Hi, my name is Drew, and I'm in 7th grade at Parkway Northeast Middle School. I also went to William Green Elementary School. I do a lot of hard things when I have to do hard things like needle. I make a plan to make it a little bit easier. My plan helps me feel less scared. Recently, I was given the opportunity to write a book. The book is about Marshmallow the normal who has to do hard things. He makes a plan to, and it helps him do the best he can do when things are hard. It felt good to write the book that I got to be an author. Something most good don't compare to. When people find my book, the money goes to help other people and I feel good. And the money from my book goes to help other kids like me. Today I am presenting Parkway with a hardback copy of my book for each elementary school library and many other kids to enjoy the book.
Drew, thank you for sharing your story, your strength, and your positive message with all of us. You're truly an inspiration.
Please join us in celebrating Drew Patchins.
Our final recognition this evening is staff receiving the Superintendent Character Award. Please welcome Dr. Melissa Schneider to introduce these remarkable Parkway staff.
Good evening, everybody, and to the board. We are pleased tonight to recognize outstanding staff from 2 of our high schools. This group of staff is worthy of the Superintendent Character Award. From South High, we would like to recognize Adam Weiss and Josh Schneider. Unfortunately, neither could attend tonight's meeting. However, we would like to recognize them as recipients of the Superintendent's Character Award. When a student began choking in class, these 2 teachers acted swiftly and without hesitation. Josh Schneider, a special school district instructor, and Adam Weiss, a social studies and Patriot Global Academy teacher, quickly recognized the situation. They pressed the classroom emergency button to notify the nurse and administration and worked together to perform the Heimlich maneuver, helping the student breathe again within seconds. Their calm and decisive teamwork turned a frightening moment into a safe outcome. Thank you to Josh and Adam for the care, compassion, and composure exhibited in this heroic response. So give them a hand. They're not here tonight. And I would like to ask Jody Chambers, Andrew LaRose, Dana Lindeman, Virginia Lugie, and Judy Shapiro to please come forward. Earlier this fall, these North High Vikings were involved in a life-saving incident during the school day, saving a community member. Yes, would you go ahead and stand so we know who we're talking about real quick? Thank you so much. When they learned that a community member had collapsed on the track, they quickly responded to help her. We are honored to have them in our Parkway North community. The video you are about to watch will give you a brief glimpse of their attributes.
A group of teachers at Parkway North High School are being commended for their life-saving actions last month when a woman collapsed on the school's track while running out.
Caroline Hecker explained how the teamwork breathed life literally into Allison Moraine. Every Tuesday, you'll find Allison Moraine on the track at Parkway North High School. At 78 years old, she's been running marathons for 50 years. But her training for December's Honolulu Marathon took a terrifying turn last month. I felt myself starting to get dizzy and fall. And the next thing I knew, I was sitting up in an ambulance. It wasn't until later that Allison would learn about the actions taken on the track to save her life. Practicing just feet away that day, members of the marching band. Band director Andrew LaRose remembers seeing a flurry of activity across the field.
It was just so shocking to see someone. We have, students are really active around here. We see community members, and just to see someone just laying there.
Immediately, LaRose and PE teacher Jody Chambers realized the seriousness of the situation. Allison had no pulse. There was not any breathing going on. And so I went ahead and I said I was going to start compressions. Meanwhile, in the nurse's office, a frantic phone call prompted school nurse Dana Lindeman to grab her emergency kit. And on the way out, one of the school's 6 AEDs as she headed out to the football field. While she was on her way, LaRose and Chambers continued CPR. And finally,
It was pretty scary. Just nothing immediate. And it wasn't for a couple rounds of that where we had this kind of gas, we saw this gas.
Allison was breathing. If she had had to wait for me to get out there, those seconds would have been minutes, would have been lost, and her outcome definitely might have been poor. With sirens in the distance, help was about to arrive. I had her face in my hands when she kind of came to and started making some voices, and it was just a great feeling. There are little buttons here that you have to touch. Allison now wears a defibrillator with plans to have one implanted. Doctors say her autoimmune disease triggered cardiac sarcoidosis, which led to her collapse on the track. Just a week later, she was
What an amazing story. All of these staff members from both North and South High have demonstrated extraordinary character, showing us that they would take a traumatic experience with resilience, compassion, and dedication. We are proud to present them with the Superintendent Character Award. Thank you. You're doing fine. Allison, we'll have to hang it up next to yours.
Thank you again to our students, their families, and our staff for joining us for these special recognitions. At this time, we'll take a brief break and we'll resume the meeting shortly. All right, I think we are about ready to resume our meeting. We just have a couple of little items to go over. So next up on our agenda is 7.0, that's additions, corrections, and/or modifications. Those include 7.01, addendum to agenda item 11.22, approval of purchase of residency online verification system. 7.02, addition of agenda item 11.26, approval of policy BBBA, board member qualifications. 7.03, addendum to agenda item 11.04, approval of personnel items. 7.04, addition of agenda item 11.27, approval for facilities condition assessment services. And 7.05, addition of agenda item 11.28, approval for demographic study. Next up is public comments. It's during this time that we provide an opportunity for citizen comments in an effort to maintain an open, respectful dialogue with our community. Public comment session is not the appropriate forum for addressing individually identifiable student and/or personnel matters. Therefore, due to privacy laws protecting students and employees, comments about these matters should not include personally identifiable information about particular students or employees. Members of the public, staff, and students are encouraged to utilize established policies and procedures for offering suggestions or addressing concerns and complaints prior to bringing the issue before the board. Please be mindful that the meetings of the board, including your statements at the podium, are broadcast and that you are responsible for any comments that you make. In lieu of a public statement, you may choose to submit your comments to the board in writing. Also, due to time constraints and the need to complete the primary responsibilities of our meeting agenda, we cannot respond during the meeting, so you will receive a response from us in writing. We are always available to have an open dialogue outside of our meetings and can be reached by email or phone using the contact information on the Parkway website. I will call, let's see, I think we only have one speaker. So I'll just call on our one speaker, Drew Jennings. And Drew, you'll have 3 minutes once you get to the podium. If you could just reintroduce yourself to us and let us know your affiliation with the district.
My name is Drew Jennings, and I'm a teacher at Parkway South High School. I'm also colleagues with Adam Weiss, who got an award tonight. I feel like he learned that quick action from hanging out with me all the years. So I'm here, I've got a few supporters here tonight, but I'm here just kind of speaking on behalf of Parkway teachers. And I'm gonna hit you with my thesis, then I'm gonna give you some statistics, all right, some facts. Then I'll personalize it a little bit by telling you a little bit about myself, right? And then I'm gonna give you a plea for your time and your help and your thoughts, okay? So the reason we're here tonight is teacher salaries have just been gutted since COVID. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of communication or awareness of this issue in the community or between the channels. And so I just want to go over a couple things to kind of illustrate this. So I took a look at our pre-COVID salaries. And year one, step one, so brand new teacher in 2019, 2020, made $43,000. That was a starting salary. If you adjust that for inflation using the Labor Bureau and Statistics website, that would be over $54,000, $54,300 in today's money. As of this year, 25-26, it's $48,000. So that starting salary is lost over 20% when adjusted for inflation. At the top, year 21 or above, step 5, in 2019, 2020, it was $98,000, and that would be adjusted for $123,752. And this year we made $106,750. If you take somebody in the middle, I did year 8, step 3, it was $51,900 in 2019, 2020, and that would be well over $65,538 in today's money. And this is not just some sort of anomaly with 2019, 2020. My starting salary in the year 2000 was $29,000, and that would translate to $54,370 today. So this is a new problem. It's a new issue. And I understand there's only so much money to go around. There's tax rates. There's all kinds of issues. There's building repairs. And absolutely, no one goes into teaching to be rich. But it's a kick in the gut, and it's hurting morale. And it's been increasingly tough for teachers coming out of COVID to be hit by these salary losses. And so I guess time went faster than I thought. So I won't tell you much about myself, except I'm a Parkway guy. I went to Parkway, Claymont, Piermont, Parkway West, student taught at Parkway North, 26 years at Parkway South. Love the district, thinks it's a great place. Usually very competitive salaries, but right now, what we're asking for, and I'll wrap up real quick here, is just some communication that this is an issue that we're all aware of, and then perhaps there can be a plan to, help us get back on track. Kind of like we did after the financial crisis in 2008, 2009, when they froze our salaries for a year or two and got right back on track. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the approval of tonight's agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education as scheduled for November 12th, 2025?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The next regular board meeting will take place on Wednesday, December 10th, beginning at 7 p.m. here at the Parkway Welcome Center. Next up is board superintendent reports. Matt, you want to start us off?
Yeah. Past month been a little busy. Actually had 2 subcommittee meetings. I'll actually let my colleagues comment on those, but we also went to the Missouri School Board Association conference, and kind of playing off the public comment too is the fact that I went to sessions about the state budget, state legislation, and also some security sessions too, and just the fact that, as we've already discussed here at the board level, is healthcare costs are going up, putting a strain on our budgets. On the operating side, there is challenges, not just for Parkway, but for districts across the region around discussions about getting rid of the income tax, and then also more discussions around property tax. And it's just the fact that the budget was in bad shape already, and they're all having discussions now about removing more revenue from the budget. It's going to get tighter. At this point in time, things are still preliminary, but I think you're going to hear more and more going forward over the next few months about the budgets at the state level and revenue coming in and how they support schools going forward. So I encourage everybody to keep their eye on it, and I'm sure we'll keep abreast of it too for all of you.
As with Matt, I was at the Missouri School Board conference as well. One of the topics that I went to was about AI usage for teachers. I found it very interesting on potential ways that our teachers could use AI to make their lives a little easier, and also to enhance teaching for their students. As Matt mentioned, we went to the Operations Board Subcommittee meeting. There were a few topics that we talked about. One is an upcoming technology comprehensive program review, where they are going to look at technical support and service quality, student computing experience, that means Chromebooks, things like that, infrastructure, and then cybersecurity and data privacy. We also looked at an upcoming transportation parent app, where we're going to be piloting some schools to help figure out a better way to track your kid. That's just kind of in the initial phase. We also had preliminary talks about the compensation study that I know was in our consent agenda, where we looked at operations staff and the salaries there and if we're competitive in the market. And then our favorite thing, it's a policy review that we're going to be doing as well. Also, one of the things I went to was the Central High Day of Service. This is one of my favorite things that I do as a board member. It's something I did as a student at Parkway Central. Back then it was just Special Olympics, but now it's an entire school doing a day of service for different things outside of school. It truly was amazing. The weather wasn't the best, so we had to do with what we could and do things in the gym rather than on the field, but it was still an amazing day. I was able to spend some time at Spark, where I was able to talk with some students. I'm going to have follow-up conversations with some students who are interested in pursuing a legal career, and I don't know how happy I am being an attorney if I want to keep that going, but I'm going to have great conversations there. And then a couple of days ago, we were all here for a board workshop where we talked about a lot of different things, and it's just, it's that time of year where things are getting crammed in before the end of the year, so it's a great time.
Yeah, just to pick up on that, it's been busy kind of working backwards. So I was at for Veterans Day yesterday, attended the Veterans Day presentation at Parkway Northeast along with Dr. Bogus and Kevin, and then headed over to McKelvey when able to see the parade over there. And it's just great to see the students come out and the community come out to support our veterans and just, celebrate them. The work session earlier this week, being my first year on the board, constantly learning. So I really thought that was a great session. We went through a lot of topics, learning a lot there.
the MSBA conference I thought was great. Opportunity to get to see other, meet and, mingle with other school boards across the state, school districts of various sizes, to hear about the issues that they're facing, how they address those. We had a teaching and learning committee meeting last week with Matt and Debbie as well, and Dr. Beckner. And similarly, we on that committee, we are going to be focusing on doing a policy review, which we're going to be looking at about 74 policies in total, kind of going through those, seeing what changes might need to be made, bringing them in line with current state law, those kinds of things. A little bit tedious, but a necessary task that needs to be done. Otherwise, yeah, just staying busy. So.
I echo that since our last meeting, it's been a busy month. Starting back in October 21st, we had our first district wellness committee meeting. That's led by Eddie Madison. It's a new committee that's focused around wellness, specifically nutrition, physical activity, and staff wellness. During that meeting, we did have the opportunity to preview some data that was from our Panorama survey to our students in grades 3 through 12 and our teachers, and it was around belonging. And then we also had the opportunity to break into 3 groups where we were working to determine strategies on how we can improve aspects of belonging, which is one of our district goals, in those 3 areas. So that was a really good first meeting. Our next one will be in January. I also attended the MSBA conference, October 23rd through the 25th. I will say they had 2 really good general session speakers. The first was a 15-year-old. His name was Orion John. And he talked about his race to kindness. To see a young man who was able to do such great things and spread inspiration throughout the country, it was very inspiring. And then the second speaker was Dr. Temple Grandin. She's well known throughout the educator world. This was my first time hearing her, and I have to say she was amazing in her talks about different types of learners and making sure that our education system it does not just cater to the traditional academics, because we do have different learners, and we want to make sure that we are making sure that their potential is reached as well. I also attended several sessions, some of them just going to go through the titles of those. We talked about Senate Bill 727, empowering communities with future-ready schools, superintendent evaluations, the 2026 legislative updates, a DESE update, and then effective advocacy for school districts. So overall, it was a very good conference. I was learning a lot. I enjoy going to those each year, just to meet new people, learn about what other districts are doing. So, and maybe being able to bring some of those things back to our district. And then moving into November, we had a student services subcommittee meeting. I'm going to let Mr. Todd provide a little bit more information on that. And then I had an opportunity to have a school lunch with Jason Rooks at Southwest Middle. I know last year, I think it was last year or the year before, Mrs. Hopper and I were trying to make our rounds around the district to try out the various lunches, just to, make sure that our kids are happy with what they're eating. And there were some things that I think we can improve on, but overall, I thought the lunch was pretty good. So good for our lunch workers. I appreciate all of their help. They were great. And then Monday, we did have our board workshop, as Mr. Kilper talked about. And then, what's today?
Today's Wednesday.
Okay, yesterday. Yesterday, I did have the opportunity to attend West Middle's Veterans Day Assembly, and that was led by our National Junior Honor Society students. So it was great to have see them be up there and recognize the veterans of their community.
Well, that was really impressive by all of you. I think Parkway's lucky to have 4 members that are so well-spoken and so able to share these wonderful experiences, whereas my only contribution is to be able to tell Tiffany what day it is. Kidding aside, it's hard to go 5th. I'm sure everyone would love the 3rd person to tell them about the operations subcommittee meeting, or the 5th person to tell them about the school board conference, but I went to that stuff too, but I think they said enough about it for tonight. This is our it's the 3rd day this week I've been involved with Parkway stuff, and we don't really address the citizen statements here, but that segues into a lot of the stuff we've been talking about the last couple of days. And it's not lost on us as a board. We're not in the trenches day to day, like our finance people are, dealing with the numbers and looking at budgets and thinking about salaries. But you can't help but look around and see that a lot of people, teachers, community, people are suffering. Things are really, really expensive, and and just getting more and more expensive. And there's some really, really hard decisions that have to be made. I'm proud to be part of an organization that I think puts a lot of thought into this. There's no good way to spend less money. But I do think that, we're exploring every option, and I have faith that this district and the people tasked with those decisions are empathetic and care and, have everyone's best interest in mind. And, I hope, I'm proud of the way that we're tackling the reality of the current economic climate. But there was a really fun, bright part of the week, which was the Veterans Day assemblies. Now, I mentioned, we all kind of divided up and go to different schools, and the schools have different programs. And I mentioned to somebody that I was at one of these programs who was, another generation. They said, "Oh, I don't remember that happening when I was in school." And, and the reality is it didn't. I think when I was growing up, you just got Veterans Day off and we went home and watched Price is Right. And now I think someone at some point made the decision of, rather than give the kids an extra day on their cell phones, let's really teach them what America means, what a veteran means. And I love that we do that. Those ceremonies are always great, especially, the grade schools, seeing the kids excited about, their grandpa being there. And it's really nice to be a part of that. So that's all for me. Debbie?
Well, I agree. I'll segue into that. I'd attended a couple of Veterans Day events yesterday. Myself, I went to Shenandoah Valley, where the Central High Band was actually there, and they did a little parade outside with all the veterans and the students, and we went into an assembly at the gymnasium, and then there was a reception afterward. And then at Barrett's Elementary, we did very similar things as well, and the kids, both of the schools had their choir, singing music and doing presentations. And and the Cub Scouts and the Brownies were also involved. And I just have to say, there were a few times that it was very moving, and you can't help but be emotionally affected by, seeing our veterans. We had 70 veterans come in person to Barrett's. We didn't have quite that many at Shenandoah Valley, but nevertheless, the representation was very good. And I too am very proud of our district that we continue to have and hold these events to show what it's important. And I did, get to hear some stories from an 82nd Airborne veteran about some of their antics that they did when they were finally done with their active duty stuff.
You want to share those?
No. But then I am proud to know that there was another vet at Barrett's who shared that, being recognized this way is a welcome from how the military people were recognized when they returned from war, especially during the Vietnam War, which was not with much respect. And so to have these opportunities is a very welcome thing that I'm very proud that our school district engages in. I also want to remind our community of our food pantry. We're in very difficult times right now. Some people are still pulling out from a tornado back in May. Other storms that I mean, I hear stories about some of the work was being done on some of the homes that were destroyed or had issues in May, and they were right in the middle of fixing their problems, and then another storm came and just demolished the progress that was being made. But any staff and family members here in Parkway are open to applying to our food pantry for help, and meals will be guaranteed, and you will get food every week at the pickup points are at Northeast Middle School. Those times are on our website, and you can go to the website to apply and start your access to those food pantries. So I'm very proud that our school district has that. I know our board's going to be volunteering at the food pantry next month. And we have other groups that are doing that for Thanksgiving preparations as well. I unfortunately was not able to attend the MSBA conference this year, but I held the fort down here while everybody else was gone. And one of the things that I had the privilege of doing was providing opening remarks at the all-district choir concert on October the 23rd. We had over 700. Let me repeat, 700 students participate at Family Arena, and I couldn't have been more proud to stand up there and see all of these kids from grades 5 through 12. Every single school, elementary, middle school, and high school here in Parkway participated in a choir concert. So hats off to Jeff Lackey, all of our teachers and staff, and the guest conductors that were there. It is a phenomenal event. And we do all district events with our orchestra as well. And they're just wonderful events and great experiences for our students to be able to engage in that. So I'm so proud that we are so supportive of the arts here. The board workshop we went through just to thank administration. Those are heavy topics that we delve into and not easy, but it's an opportunity that we can all come together to talk and dive deeper into some of the issues taking place here in Parkway and to get the information from administration. So thank you very much for the time involved in that. That's a 4-hour event, us just sitting there, engaged in conversation, but I know it's probably a lot more time for our administrators to put all that information together. So thank you for doing that. I'm also involved in our St. Louis County PLC planning meetings. We have an event coming up on December 6th where the topic of conversation that day is going to be on superintendent and board relations. So we're hopeful that that will come off, and looking forward to a stellar panel that will be talking about those particular topics. So we'll have breakout sessions too on superintendent evaluations and board self-evaluations as well. And then finally, we've just been seeing a lot of our sports team, our athletics and activities going off to state championships, and we just want to say congratulations to those that are in the midst of going through all those competitions. I think we've got every single school in Parkway doing something with those state competitions, and just best of luck. And I believe probably in the spring of next year we recognize our state champion, so we'll be seeing who rises to the top there. So, but it's a great experience for all of our athletes and activities, students that they're involved in these for team experiences, and there's nothing like it. I couldn't be more proud to see our kids involved in those. So thank you all, and good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you. I will reiterate the wonderful experiences for me at Piermont Elementary, the Veterans Day celebration yesterday. I try and attend at least one different school every year, and it's always interesting to see how different schools celebrate veterans. But at the end of it, it's really amazing to see the efforts that our teachers and students go to to recognize our nation's heroes. So I always appreciate being at those events. As was mentioned, the board workshop took place earlier this week. Tiffany mentioned the Student Services Subcommittee that we attended last week. One of the items was the panorama, so you got a double dose this month. So we talked about that. We talked about some discipline policies that we were able to review and talk through that with some of our student services staff and make sure those policies were meeting our expectations. We talked about the 504 processes that are ongoing for a number of our students and the impact that those things in place for students can help them achieve success, and the challenges that we sometimes face with meeting those needs of our students and how we can potentially improve that. So that was a great meeting. We'll have another one in the spring. Debbie, I can't remember if you were there or if it was, I think it was more than just me, but I can't remember exactly, but we had a Pattonville SSD and Parkway joint government relations meeting a couple of weeks ago with, I think, 5 or 6 of our local legislators, both representatives, and I think there was maybe a senator was represented there, but we've done these before where we're all just in a great big room like this, and there's a table that runs the perimeter of the room because there's so many people there. This time, we had I think it was our communications department that made the suggestion, and we broke out into groups, and it was really a more organic discussion, and I think I got the impression that it really drove home the facts better to our legislators about public education and the need for continuing to support where there's areas that are lacking and the things that we need to maintain and improve on with the state's help. So I think that was a great event as well. And I think everybody else covered a lot of other things, so I'm not going to belabor those. So, Dr. Schneider.
Well, very, very, very similar. I went to many of the things that were mentioned. I will highlight Veterans Day. That is, I just want to look back at my team as well, the superintendent's cabinet. Between all of us, we did kind of divide and conquer and went out and saw many of the Veterans Day activities, and they were amazing. I was at Ross Elementary, and I absolutely love listening to the kids sing all the patriotic songs and the different branches of the military and having people stand up, and they're so proud when that person stands up when their song is being sung. It's just it's so cute, but like Debbie said, it's so emotional too. And it was just wonderful. They had breakfast. They also had, I had never seen this before, but they had a prisoner of war missing in action table set with meaningful things. It's a place setting with a chair and a tablecloth and a flower vase and some other things on the table that stand for things. And they really taught the audience what all those things mean and really gave tribute to POW/MIA. I had an absolutely exhilarating time going down to our state cross-country meet, which was last Friday in Columbia, where all of our high schools were represented. We had teams and individual athletes running in the cross-country meet, and I couldn't believe that I had the privilege of standing on the sidelines while very first place girl, Gabby Morrissey from Central High School, junior at Central, won the entire girls class 4 race. And that was just an amazingly proud moment. She came from behind, probably the last quarter of a mile. There were 4 or 5 girls ahead of her, and to watch her pass every single one of them and finish so strong, I had tears in my eyes at that one too. So another emotional event that I went to. I visited Claymont Culture Night, and on the same night it was the South Area Strings Festival for grades 5, 7, and 9. It was amazing to see families come out to Claymont, celebrate their cultural heritage with music, food, dancing. It was just such a neat time. And then the Strings Festival, you had grades 5, 7, and 9. You had the 5th graders being helped by 9th graders and 7th graders who were able to envision themselves maybe one day they would all play together in the high school orchestra, and they were playing in the high school rooms that they might play in several years. So that was a neat thing to see, and I thank the teachers who spent their evenings getting that one together. They pulled off an absolutely wonderful evening for the kids. Also was at Central High School Day of Service in the Special Olympics opening ceremony, which is also super special, and North High Choir, as well as Spark, the Spark program. I want to just speak a little bit to this too. This was also an emotional thing to walk into a room full of teachers, people who wanted to be teachers in the Spark program. That has never happened to me before, where I was able to walk into a room of 20 kids who, before they're even leaving high school, are saying that they want to be teachers. And to actually feel their energy and to talk with them for an entire hour brought just complete joy to my heart. And I cannot wait to go and see the signing day, which I'm told is a really special thing. They are dead set on teaching. I do hope that many of them come back and teach for Parkway. It was a really, really special day. So lots going on this past month. As many of you said, it's been a good but busy month.
And I omitted one thing I wanted to mention, and that is I wanted to recognize more than two. Dr. Kevin Beckner and members of his team presented in Kansas City at the MSBA conference, and our own board secretary, Nikki Stover, drove across the state for less than 24 hours to present to a room full of people in her same role from across the state. So thank you for representing you and your fellow co-workers representing Parkway so well. So thank you. Next up, 10.03, Board of Education candidate filing announcement. It's this time again. 3 director positions are open in the Parkway Board of Education, each for a 3-year term in the April 7th, 2026 election. The terms of Debbie Hopper, Tiffany Matt Franklin, and Jeff Todd expire in April 2026. So since I just rattled off those names, Tiffany, are you planning to continue your service on the board?
I do plan to.
Okay. Debbie, do you plan?
Yes, I am planning to run again.
Okay, and I will share that I am as well. So for the 3 of us, some good information, and for anybody else interested in filing, that begins on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 at 8 a.m. and will continue through Tuesday, December 30th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Candidates must file in person at the St. Louis County Board of Elections, 725 Northwest Plaza Drive, St. Anne, Missouri 63074. No filing will take place at the district office. Candidates may file between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Filing ends at 5 p.m. on the last day of candidate filing only. The Board of Election office will be closed on December 25th and may also close due to inclement weather. For the first day of filing, a random lottery drawing will be conducted to determine ballot placement. Candidates who file after the first day will be listed in order of filing. If anyone has any questions regarding candidate filing, please contact Nikki Stover at 314-415-8002 or nstover@parkwayschools.net or at the St. Louis County Board of Elections at 314-615-1851. Next up is our consent agenda. We've had an opportunity to review this. So may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in the November 12th, 2025 board meeting materials.
So moved. Second.
Is there anything to be pulled to action or closed? And I will raise my hand and say that I would like to pull, 11.06, approval of 2025-2026 fall budget adjustments to action. So for all of the consent agenda items which don't include the one pulled to action, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Next up, could I request the presence of Ms. Carrie Nunn to join us at the podium? And as she's making her way up here, as I mentioned, like always, we have an opportunity to review the consent agenda before tonight. We got it last week, and we've been reading through it and asking questions and talking about things. And 11.06 stood out to me because I know you make your budget adjustments in the fall based on, things that have happened since the budget was originally presented to us. And so I just wanted to see if, I noticed numbers were a little different. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity if you could share with us some of those highlights.
I absolutely can. Are you interested more on the adjustments for the revenue side or the expense side? Which one would you like me to dive into?
I think the revenue side was, since we were a little bit lopsided, I think the revenue side probably is where we should focus.
Absolutely. So the majority of our adjustment on the revenue side is related to our property tax. So under our property tax, under the items that you'll see, the things that were making that up was a mixture of a couple of things. One of them was the senior tax freeze impact. So that was announced earlier than what we actually had expected, which is great. That report actually was released last week and made public. So Parkway was impacted. There was a little over 13,300 parcels that applied for the credit and received it. That loss for us, or the credit that they received, and loss for revenue for Parkway was rounded to a whole number of $2.8 million. So that impacts our operation budget as well as our debt service budget. And so we had originally anticipated only $1 million loss, just over $1 million loss. So having the 2.8 at that whole number means that we had a difference of 1.8 that we needed to reduce our revenue by. So that was one of the impacts that you're seeing in the revenue calculation. We also had a decrease in revenue related to delinquent property taxes. So that made up another large chunk of the reduction in property taxes. We also were notified by the county that we had a property that was assessed incorrectly. And so it was going to cause a reduction in our revenue of about $1 million. And then we also had changes, some slight changes, just below $500,000 with when I set the original budget, I have to use the rates that we have at that time. And then once the rates are actually set in September, that's just an adjustment based on the actual new tax rate that we actually were able to levy this year. And so those were the components that were making up the bulk of the revenue adjustments that you see. All right, thank you. Any other questions about the budget adjustments?
I guess I'll just say this, and correct me if I'm wrong, just to kind of share more information about the senior tax freeze. It's the fact that it's a total of around $30 million total for St. Louis County. That includes school districts, libraries, EMS, and fire departments. That's all part of that, correct?
Correct. So the report is about 6 pages long. It does impact every taxing municipality in St. Louis County. The report is about $30 million of impact, with 19 million of that making up school districts. So of all the school districts, we do not have the largest revenue loss, but we are one of the top ones that have the heaviest hit to the revenue. Yes. Okay. And if you at any time want to see that full report, I'm more than happy to share that link with you to the full report that is public. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so for item 11.06, may I have a motion and a second that the Board of Education approves the budget adjustment for the 25-26 school year. As a result of the changes, the general fund will have total expenditures of $110,408,946 and total revenues of $103,464,460. The special fund will have total expenditures of $171,694,621 and total revenues of $174,197,372. The debt service fund will have total expenditures of $21,914,584 and total revenues of $34,586,005. The Capital Projects Fund will have total expenditures of $90,409,601 and total revenues of $116,420,229. In total, all funds will have expenditures of $394,427,751 and revenues of $428,668,067.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Tonight, we have no policy review or reports. However, we do have a work session. Sorry, Carrie, you're going to have to walk all the way back up. We got there a little quicker. So Carrie Nunn, our CFO, and she will introduce. I will let her introduce our guests.
Thank you so much. And we do have some partners here with us tonight that will be helping me. But I'm going to start us off. We do have our CMAR, our construction manager at risk, Putker, here with us. And we also have Jason Rooks, who is going to fill in for Matt tonight. I'm going the wrong direction. Okay, so this is an update of our Prop S funds, and I'm going to start us off with our overall cash. So on the left-hand side is the overall cash for potential cash for Prop S. The full Prop S funds were $265 million. That is what our voters approved. And since then, we have sold our bonds at some premiums, and so we've gained an $18 million increase there. And then we also, from those funds, as we spend them, they sit in an investment account and earn interest. So we've gained 9.3, almost 9.4 in interest for a total of almost $293 million in Prop S funds. We also have to pay fees for selling bonds to our financial advisors, our bond financial advisors, and our bond counsel. So those, and to the title companies. So those fees have been just over $1 billion. We also have spent to date $81 million. And then we also have to pay positive arbitrage. And if you'll remember, I think I mentioned this the last time we had a Prop S update. Positive arbitrage is what you pay back because you cannot earn too much money on your funds. So this is not money that we pay back to the investor. This is actually money that we will give to the IRS because these are no tax, they're tax exempt bonds. And so you can only make so much. You can't make more than the yield. And so that totals for expenses is almost 85 million, which means that the remaining bond funds is $208 million. But on the far right-hand side is our current bond cash. So this represents the cash actually on hand. So as you'll remember earlier this year, you actually approved a bond sale. So that was our second issuance of Prop S funds. So we actually have only sold 2 issuances, which total $190 million. So we still have $75 million to issue with a bond sale with Prop S funds. So if you'll see that the actual cash on hand goes with the bond sales that we did, the 90 million and the 100 million. We did have that premium on the sale, and then also the interest earned. We still have the same fees that we paid for the actual sale that happened for both of those bonds, and then our total history to date cost that we have paid for, and then the positive arbitrage. So the actual cash, physical cash on hand in our bank account is $133 million. And I'd like to point out with Prop S funds is these are what you would call restricted funds. So they are set aside. They can only be used for Prop S projects. So these were things that we wrote in the bond language that we promised our community. We will only spend these funds on this. So they're not to be confused with our operating funds that pay for our reoccurring expenses, such as salaries and benefits and supplies and services that you would see in our school building or in our departments. So this is set aside and can only be used for Prop S capital improvements. So to So that was the number side, but I'm sure you're interested in actually how all of the projects have been going. So with the Prop S funds, we have two methods of the projects. We have one branch of our projects that is managed by our construction managers at risk, and they're going to go first, and they're going to show you all the projects that they're working on, and the financials associated with those projects. Then we have another branch of our Prop S projects that are actually managed internally. They're smaller projects, and they're managed internally by our construction department. So, and after Pugner goes through their projects, then we're going to go through the Parkway managed projects. And at the end, we'll have time for any questions that you might have. All right. And just so you know, it's the bottom button, so you don't have one. And this is also Chris from Pugner.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Also, I have Ben Ebelsizer here with me, our senior pre-construction manager. Got a lot of faces up on the screen. There's a lot of folks from Putker Construction that have a major impact. There's just not enough room on the screen. So threw a couple up of our project managers and superintendents that maybe you've ran into over the past year. I know that you guys have seen these projects a little bit, so I'm going to try and stick to my agenda and not deviate too much. So tonight I'm going to recap some of the construction work that has taken place across the district. Since our spring update, several projects were completed or had phases completed vastly over the summer break. Here at River Bend, various renovations took place throughout the existing buildings, while the two new building additions were completed for the Fine Arts and Kindergarten Storm Shelter wings, along with an updated entry and new playgrounds. Craig Elementary dove into Phase 1 work, completing the majority of the site work, including parking lots, and a third of the building was completely transformed with a full gut and remodel of the interior. Virtually the entire site at Northeast Middle School was touched for utility upgrades and site improvements. The choir room and 2 sets of restrooms were also given a much needed facelift. Central High Phase 1 gave the servery and teacher's lounge an overhaul, and much of the roofing has been repaired. The visitors' bleachers and locker rooms joined the natatorium for work completed at North High, along with a revamped kitchen. District Ops and Transportation received upgrades to its parking lots, roofs, HVAC systems, windows, and doors. And then the lower and upper parking lots of McKelvey are now restored as well. I'll actually start at the bottom right on this one, the location we're at tonight. South Middle School Phase 1 was ongoing when I started this presentation. So it really should be on the slide prior to at this point, because Phase 1 has been substantially completed, with approximately half the sprinklers in this building being completed over the summer. And then we just finished the site utilities and parking lot pavers last week outside. So that's going to be something that will take Phase 2 home next summer. Otherwise, North High and Central High are the two major projects that we have work ongoing currently, along with some sidewalks being installed at Oak Brook this month. The photos here that you see are the North Infill and Addition and the cheer room at North High School, as well as the locker rooms at Central High School. A little bit more in depth for North High School is projected to continue construction through the summer of 2027 until it looks more like the rendering that you see here on top. We are currently finishing up the underground rough-in and preparing preparing 2 pour slabs and get the north infill roof in the dry. And then the cheer room is being drywalled. The wrestling room has masonry walls ongoing. We also threw in some of the photos of the renovated natatorium and visitors bleachers above. And then I've got Central High School here, projected to finish up in the summer of 2026. These are a few of the photos of the servery space, as well as the teacher's lounge that was discussed, along with the locker rooms that we are currently working on. The pool area is being renovated with plans to turn over at the end of this year. And then last but not least, for me, I couldn't really help but not add this slide. I know that you guys were here. Just simply wanted to echo kind of what I heard from you guys previously. We too really enjoyed the tour. Thought it was a success. I really just wish we had a little bit longer time to be with you and show all of the progress that was made. I will say from our side, it has truly been a pleasure to work with everyone at Parkway, both on the admin, maintenance staff side, but also I want to talk about the school staffs individually. Your students are blessed to have you all. The principals that spoke here tonight, many of the folks, the teachers, it has been an absolute joy seeing them interact with their passion and just their joy for their students. So I know you already are, and you have said it many times this night, but it comes off very clearly from an outsider's perspective of how proud you should be of your staff. So just wanted to mention that, and also have to say thank you for the staff helping us along the way to be able to have a successful 2025. We are not to the tip of the iceberg. Next summer is going to be fantastic. It is going to be the tip of the iceberg. But we definitely had a busy summer. We're looking forward to 2026 as well. With that, I'm going to bring up Ben to hand it off here. He's going to talk a little bit about what lies ahead for 2026, as well as give a little bit of a financial snapshot.
Thank you, everyone, for having us. It's always good to see you guys once a year. But the tour was also quite a lot of fun. I will say that much like Carrie, I just get spreadsheets and boring slides. I don't have nearly as much excitement for you all. But since last time we spoke last year, we are officially over the halfway point. We have with tonight's action items, we are 19 GMPs into the program. 22 buildings have been under contract. We are in the process of 2 more GMPs for 3 additional buildings, and that leaves just 11 GMPs to go with 15 buildings. So it's been a pleasure to work with you all, and we've been working diligently with the facility staff and Carrie and her team as we're planning this out. And we're getting ready in the spring to do our favorite buzzword of a red zone meeting with the facilities team to finalize the allocations for both the design team and how we're going to finalize all the projects for this program. It's an exciting time. It's been a pleasure to echo Chris's point. So I was looking at the numbers just because I was curious of the $117 million of bond money allocated to the 19 projects that are under contract. We have awarded the contracts at $96 million, which is about 21% what we would call, 18% what we would call contingency. So as the projects go along and unforeseen things come along, obviously things adjust. But we've been tracking what the allocation was versus award, and then part of this red zone meeting will be to reconcile where we are at on all these projects. But it's a great. I commend you guys on the planning. To be at 18% contingency is a wonderful spot to be in. You guys couldn't have done a better job planning it, and we've had great bidder participation throughout the program. Chris and his team, as well as my team, we've been working diligently to drum up interest and bring people maybe that haven't worked in the public market as much, developing our relationships and trying to bring those people aboard. So coming up, we have Fern Ridge High School and Grounds and Storage. That was awarded in the spring. And that will be kicking off, as Chris mentioned, South Middle School Phase 2, Oak Brook and McKelvey Phases 2. As Chris mentioned, we're starting on Oak Brook, doing some preliminary work. Craig Elementary has 2 of 3 phases remaining. The way we broke that building up was into 3 phases. And then Mason Ridge Elementary was one of our recent additions to the GMP. That'll get started next summer. And then we also have, to Chris's team's chagrin, Highcroft Ridge Elementary, Belle Reve Elementary, Shenandoah Elementary, Green Trails Elementary, South High School, Claymont, and Piermont all kicking off next summer. So we got a busy road ahead. It's going to be great. Couple of the South High and Piermont are going to be multi-phase. Highcroft Ridge, through some excellent work with the bidder participation, working with the design teams, working with the facilities team, making a plan, we were able to come up with a strategy to complete that in 1 summer instead of 2, which was the original thought process behind just dealing with lead times of equipment and things. We were able to find shorter lead time equipment, and we're going to be able to squeeze that into 1 summer, so that will be less detriment to the district overall. That did not translate well to that. This is kind of an overall snapshot. These are all so GMPs 1 through 6 and 9 have all been closed. And then GMPs 7 through 19 essentially are the ones that are in progress or newly added to the agenda. And this is reflecting that $117 million of bond allocation money versus the 6 million that has been awarded under those contracts. Of the closed contracts, we are 3.4 million under the allocation, so we're continuing to trend in the right direction. So that, again, that's a testament to your all's planning, as well as Chris and our team and the facilities team's efforts to drum up interest, drive market competition, and just have an overall healthy program. And I will answer any questions if anybody has any for me. Otherwise, I will kick it over to Jason Rhodes.
Thank you. So I'll ad lib just a little bit. In my world, usually it's no news is good news, whether it's giving or receiving. Rarely do I have principals reaching out telling me what a great job we're doing. But with Putker, that's been kind of an exception. Usually when I'm running into principals who've had construction, they talk about what a great partner Putker is in the building with their staff and with their students. So I do want to give the Putker team some credit for just being a great partner with Parkway, not only at the facilities, the district level, but at the school level. And I suspect we'll be losing a principal or two when they retire to Putker to become to keep that moving forward. So now we're going to look at the Parkway projects. These are the Parkway Prop S projects, the ones we manage as part of our planning and construction team, as well as our small projects team and our facilities department. These tend to not be as shiny or glamorous as the bigger projects that our CMAR and Putker run, but day to day, they do benefit our students and staff in making our environments more comfortable, look fresher, look newer and cleaner. So I do want to thank Matt Fafaro, our Director of Facilities, who could not be here tonight. He really wanted to, but had a prior commitment and couldn't make it. And then John Blanton is here. He's our Manager of Planning and Construction. And he's here for the question portion for all the things I can't answer. And so I'm sure he'll make a trip to at least one trip to the podium. And I definitely want to thank our planning and construction team, or John's team, as well as our small projects team, who are managing these projects every day, as well as working with Putker on making sure all of our projects are moving forward. So the list I'm going to share, it's not an exhaustive list. This is really just a sampling of some of our projects that have been completed or in progress to show a variety of the work and locations where Prop S is having an impact. A full list would take significantly longer time, but we're happy to provide that to the board after tonight if you're interested in seeing that. So to start off with, at Barrett's and at a lot of our schools, we're doing sealing and striping of parking lots and track areas. This really just gives it that fresh new asphalt or pavement look and helps improve the outer aesthetic view of the parking lots, as well as making them easier to drive on. We are replacing a number of community ed awnings. That also includes Barrett's and Carmen. One of the more special projects I feel like we've done is what we affectionately refer to as our Belle Reve Pit project for a playground. So as you're entering into Belle Reve in the coming weeks or months, look down to your right and you'll see that new playground with the pour-to-play surface. Dr. Kinnear has been great with sharing the positive sentiments staff and students have shared with regards to this very little playground that probably goes unnoticed, but has had a really big impact for that community. At Claymont and many other schools, we're applying the fluid applied roofing, which has gone a long way in helping us fix or remediate persistent leaks for the roof. You've seen this in probably some of the pictures that Putker showed last time, but these are the very shiny white roofs that we've been implementing. They basically like shrink wrap the roof of a building and keep the water from getting through. They're also providing some potential energy efficiencies with that white roofing reflecting the heat and keeping things cool. We have completed HVAC automation at Henry. This is another project that will help us better control and monitor heating and cooling at the school and hopefully provide some energy benefits, energy cost benefits. Vestibule improvements at Mason and McKelvey Primary, making the vestibule safer and easier for our school secretaries to work. As I've toured schools around the district, I've realized even within the buildings, the flooring ranges in age from anywhere from 30 years to 10 years. You can usually tell this by the changes of color in the carpeting. So every year, and especially as part of bond projects, we try to replace a certain amount of flooring across the district. So we've got new flooring going in at Shenandoah, Northeast Middle, and ECC. John's team's also working on putting together a 5 to 10 year flooring replacement plan that our administrators will be able to monitor and keep track of. At Central High, we've completed nearly all the roof repairs related to last year's storm damage. If you guys remember, we had a very severe storm hit our central campus. We put in temporary roofing to get us through the remainder of the school year and spent this summer working on the actual permanent repairs at Central High. And at South High, we're starting the replacement of the bridge awning, which has been a needed replacement for a long time. So there's an exterior bridge at South High that a lot of our ADA students used to get from one building to another. That awning had gone into disrepair, and we're getting that fixed so that now they don't have to endure rains or snow as they traverse from one building to the other. And in addition to that, more on the technology side, but I didn't want it to go unmentioned, is our camera project, which has been a needed project, and upgrading our security cameras across the district continues to move forward, and we're knocking out buildings every week, getting upgraded cameras in place, providing better security for our schools. I want to take a minute just to thank again all of our staff and principals that have collaborated with us on this work. And thanks again to our facilities, planning, and construction teams, as well as our small project teams for all the work they're doing every day to make sure these projects continue to move forward. With that, I will open it up for questions for either myself or Putker, and I will phone a friend if I need John Blanton.
Well, I don't have any questions personally, but I just will thank you again for the tour this summer. I know it was only a snapshot in seeing the list of projects at each school is really, really drives it home that we're doing a lot. We have been doing a lot these past few years, and that does not go unnoticed by us, even though we're not in every single building every time there's somebody with a hard hat doing something. So whether we're walking through at Veterans Day celebrations or touring buildings over the summer, we do see the fruits of your labor. Just driving in tonight, I was looking to see, is the fence down? Are they going to be parking?
So they were able to, we did allow them to park on the election Tuesday. And then we allowed staff to park there, and then we had to put the fences back up because I think we're still buttoning up a few things that we just need to make sure is set before we really unleash everybody on it.
Well, great job, and we really appreciate everything that you all have collaborated to do. So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, let's see. I have nothing else on our agenda, so may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you all for your attendance tonight.